and then the margin. One thing that is important to have in mind is the format of the supraorbital margin. All this region in yellow, because this format will create the overall silhouette on the 3/4 view of the face. So by looking on this 3/4 view, we're gonna be able to see like this change of planes. So here you're gonna have like this region going forward, this region going inside, and once again forward. Let me find other reference so I can better show you. Just like here, going forward, inside, and forward. This will create this kind of zigzag on the face, just in the region of the eyes. So let's go and check those structures in the reference that we have here. Here we cannot see precisely those structures, but you can feel a little bit of those superciliary arches just by looking some very subtle changes in the lighting here. Right, so here we're gonna have like this region facing to the top and this region almost facing to the bottom, and here I'm gonna make in blue. We're gonna have that region for the supraorbital margin. Here we cannot really understand, but we can imagine that margin going this region. So once again, we mix our anatomical knowledge with the information that we are seeing in the reference. Okay, and here we're gonna have that frontal eminence. It will looks like a semisphere shape. Alright, let's check on other reference, other image. So look, in this reference here we can see a very subtle change of planes because of the lighting. And here once again the supraorbital margin, supraorbital margin. And this side we cannot really see, but it should looks like this. You can always check the change of planes on the lighting, the change of lighting of that regions. You can see a very subtle change of the lighting there, and then realize those structures that we just have said. Okay, and look how all these regions will be the orbital fossa. Look this change of planes that we can see by the change of lighting. That always the change on the lighting will indicate the change of planes. So imagine like if you have in the profile view a plane that it will look like this, and the lighting is going there, so this face here will be at the light, and this face here it will be at the shadow, because it won't have the same amount of lighting than here. All right, once the light goes parallel, each rays will light this face and not too much this one, right? So this is what we have here. All this region is on shadow, and also just a little bit this region here of those superciliary arches will also be a little bit in the shadow, right? And those other regions here will be in the light. All right. Here you can easily see where is the superciliary arches that we said, and what is just a softened skin, a soft skin, just like dropping on the eyes. All of this part here are skin that is dropping around the eyes. You can touch yourself and touch this region and feel the bone structure, you know, like here. Let me do in green. You can touch yourself in this region and feel this bone structure. That I've made in green, and all the rest will be like soft skin, just dropping on the eyelids, over the eyelids and the eyes. All right, so once again, notice the volume of the zygomatic bone. The zygomatic will be, remember that line that we have drawn, the line for the eyebrows and the base of nasal fossa. Okay, And the zygomatic will have like two parts. One that is more with the facing to the sides, and another that is facing to the top, like so. This is more almost facing to the top, like so, and this is facing to the side. Okay, and here in the middle we're gonna have the nasal fossa, and then the nasal bone, and in red we're gonna have the glabella region. Alright, once again the temporal line, temporal ridge, and the supraorbital margin, the arches, and the frontal eminence. Okay, here we would have the maxilla, and here we're gonna have the mandible. Alright, the temporal going to the jaw, the mandible, and yeah, that's it. Note that silhouette information that I have said. So here it goes to the front, inside, front, inside. This will create this zigzag information in the profile view, and this is right because of that structure that we just saw in the anatomical knowledge. Let me do in other color. The arches. In yellow, the frontal eminence, Okay. Let me do in blue the nasal bone, and then the fossa, nasal fossa. This is a very, very nice and important exercise that I always recommend you guys to do. So this way you can easily identify the structures of the cranium. The zygomatic, bone. Here the temporal, and then here you're gonna have the jaw, the mandible. I always make some confusion about mandible and maxilla, but there it is. Let me do an other color, in yellow. The maxilla, that will be this upper part of the teeth, right? That where is attached the teeth, and I'm gonna make in blue the jaw, the mandible. Okay, so another thing that I can say is that the temporal, all this region here that is covered by this muscle, the temporal muscle, it goes with the fibers, you know, inside this region and attaches there. Inside this zygomatic arch, the zygomatic bridge. So let me show you in the anatomical structure. Here you have that region of the temporal, then that breaks on the arch, the margin, supraciliary margin, forward, inside, forward, inside. Okay, you can understand these planes like that. This is the proper silhouette of the face for 3/4 view. Note how this region of the zygomatic, how it works. This is like if we have that line like that, note how the zygomatic, this line, it's more straight line, and this line is more a diagonal line. So this is more diagonal and this is more straight. Sorry about my English, all the time I make some mistakes, but I do my best for explaining you. Sorry guys. Another thing that is quite important to you to have a nice understanding is this angle for the zygomatic bone. Remember? Right? And remember that we have made this cut on zygomatic on that when we were doing the base mesh, just to make this angle for the zygomatic bone. This will create this part here that is angled to the inside part of the head, this region. And we start that cut from this region of the glabella, the region where we put the glass on the nasal bone, the eyeglasses, you know. From there we grab a line until the middle of the jaw, almost the middle, just a little bit. The middle would be kind of here, so we grab just a little bit to the back part. Right? Here you have some other reference showing us where exactly it will be placed, the eyes, and inside the orbital fossa. And once again, that line, bottom of zygomatic, nasal fossa, right? Line of eyebrows, and also some lines that you can check is this line here. I'm gonna make in yellow. Look how it's the same height of this region and this region. The beginning of the orbital fossa, and this structure here. Right? Straight, diagonal. That cut, that angle that I say, this is a change of planes. Right? just as if we have change of planes for the zygomatic bone structure. It will look like this. Alright, and you can always make a comparative between this line, this height of the nasal bone, that will be different on depending of each person. The nasal bone structure, right? The nasal bone, you can easily feel its height, where it actually ends, because here it will be the nose, the softened part of the nose, that are the cartilages. All this region, you can even touch yourself there and feel that is quite soft, and then it's gonna start a region that is hard. This region that is hard is the nasal bone, right? And this will create that that silhouette that in some people have this preeminence in the silhouette, like here, and all this part in yellow will be the cartilages, the softened part. This in green will be hard. If you get a punch in your face, you can break. You can have this region break. So this will be the nasal bone structure, and can create this little breakup in the silhouette, like this region, just a little bit going outside. All right. Also, you can check some breaks in the bone, the nasal structure, right? But after, we can go and have a better check on the nasal structure there, right? So let's continue over our model there. Let me explain you all those regions. Let's have a check. Okay.